Hey guys, Dustin Schaefer here. We're going to talk a little bit about carbs. Should we count them or not? Should we count fiber or should we not count fiber? How should we do this? So this is a simple rule that I've been going by for a long time, because what I realize is that the more that you have to count everything, the more you measure yourself on the scale, the more you count your calories, the more that you count the number of whatever food that is supposed to be, the more neurotic you become and the more regiment you become and the less flexible that you're allowed your health to become. And so ultimately, long term, my goal is to help people not count anything. Doesn't mean that we don't check in from time to time. Doesn't mean you don't weigh yourself twice a year or even maybe once a month. Doesn't mean that you don't count your carbs or count your calories once a month. But counting them every day, to me, creates a mental well-being that is not safe long term. Short term, week, yes, but then you have to get away from it. But the question would be, again, is do we count our carbs and do we count our calories? Well, this is kind of the guidelines that get people by, and you might take you a little bit to learn. Once you learn it, then just trust your gut, trust your instincts. So typically, if you need to lose more than 20 pounds for more than 2 years, I recommend you want to start with less than 20 carbs per day if fat loss is your goal. Or if vitality is your goal, you'll just notice a better improvement. If you're that person that you've always wiggled between 5 or 10 pounds, and your vitality's always been high, you've always been really lean, you can get away with having higher amount of carbs, maybe 20 grams, 30 grams, 40 grams, even 50 grams a day, and still get the benefits of being in ketosis and get all the cognition benefits and the energy benefits. But what about, do we subtract fiber away from carbs? And because I don't like counting anyway, I don't like when people have to count everything, I typically tell people don't count the fiber towards your carbs. Just count carbs in general, and then find your window. And why that is because what happens is sometimes you can get tricked. And if you're too perfect, it throws people off. So I'll give you an example. I have these palomini noodles, these new noodles that are unbelievable, by the way. It has 4 carbohydrates with 2 grams of fiber. Well, our old school method, we would have subtracted the fiber away from the carbs, and then that's how many carbs you have for the day. That just creates more work for you. So what I do is I just tell people, hey, it's 4 carbs. It's 4 carbs. If you're eating higher fibrous foods, right, in general, well, you might get away with having 30 grams or 40 grams of carbs a day and still get the amazing benefits. So it allows you to just use the general number. And the reason why I do this is because ultimately I'm going to ask you not to count anything anymore. And so you just get an idea of what you're at. But now if you have to count 2 separate things every single time, it takes you longer to learn your own body and get your own independence. So I don't recommend doing it, although some fibers don't actually have a response against, like a glycemic response, so therefore it won't count against you and your carbs, but some might. And so we just got to be really, really careful. Now, the one thing I want to kind of put a little note on this is that because keto-friendly foods are becoming more prevalent and different really cool options like our Keto Nat or Keto Max. Give you an example. I have our Keto Max here, our Keto Nat, excuse me. And so this one has 5 carbs. It has 4 sugar alcohol carbs, which again don't count against your glycemic response. So when you're using these types of foods, we're going to have to bring a little bit of awareness that those carbs won't count against you, because some of them might have 30 grams of carbs per serving, and you're like, oh my goodness, but none of the carbs, or very few of the carbs, actually would count against you in a low carb diet or lifestyle, so they're actually considered okay. I almost wish we could get a subcategory for them so that they didn't say carbs, but that's just the way it's going to be. So y'all, I don't suggest counting carbs. I don't. What I recommend is you can do it temporarily when you're starting out in your journey, and then what you can do is you can do it check in once a month or once every 2 months, just to see if you're lying to yourself, if you're kind of deviating off path. But that's about as much as I recommend. Thanks, y'all.